John Lennon once said, "Yeah, we all shine on, like the moon, the stars, and the sun." And it's so true. The sun is such a glorious source of light, and it's the inspiration today behind my art journal page. The theme I've chosen for today's art journal page is Radiance, and it was inspired by a moment of waking up and just not really having any inspiration at all what to create, what to do. So I sat quietly on my carpet and the sun was just beautifully shining in through the window, and that just kind of sparked this inspiration of radiance, sunlight. All these ideas just started flowing to me. So I'm creating this art journal page kind of really inspired by the sun. I started by placing my art journal on the sunlight, and I started by tracing these beautiful patterns that the sun was kind of shining onto the sketchbook. There were some wavy lines. It was just really inspirational, and I really enjoyed this way of creating art. It felt very natural and very inspired, just literally by the sun and by the light. After sticking down a yellow background and tracing these patterns, I got some gold paint out and started to paint in the different areas that I had sketched with my pencil. This was very meditative to do and super relaxing. Just sitting in the sun, letting the sunlight inspire this artwork, kind of creating as I went. I didn't really know where I was going with this artwork, as happens quite often when I'm making art, is the ideas and the inspiration sort of come to me as I'm creating. I was really loving the glow on this artwork, just how the gold was sort of shining in the sunlight, and yeah, it was just a really beautiful, peaceful moment of creating. I've recently been in the stage of just really wanting to use up art supplies and materials that I have in my home and not buy any more, rather just focus on reusing, repurposing things, even like finding old artworks and things that are laying around, like these frames, for example. I found them in my stash and I was like, these would make a perfect border for this kind of painting that I've done in the middle. So I cut that out and arranged these frames on the paper. I really liked how the colors sort of matched the yellows and the golds of the painted paper. This frame also had a really realistic look to it, so I thought that made quite a nice effect. And my intention with this art journal was definitely to create a lot of different layers and kind of build up the art journal page as I went. I spent a lot of time noticing all of the sunlight coming in, how the sun was hitting the plants and making a really beautiful glow on everything. Now with winter and fall, kind of the sun is very limited and the daylight hours are like a lot less. So I found this beautiful picture of a sun that I drew a few years ago, and I really love it. It's one of my favorite drawings of a sun that I've ever done. Also found this little planet, and I thought these would be really nice on this page. I have this drawing of a girl that I also really liked, but I didn't like the dress that she was wearing, so I ripped that off and I thought it would be really cool to remake a nice dress. One of the things about me that maybe you don't know is that I really love, as a child, this has been something really big for me all the years, is dressing up and fashion and drawing and that sort of thing. So it was really fun. I was kind of really looking forward to making her outfit. I decided to layer the papers as much as possible. So I glued a bit of the sun onto this other drawing to sort of create a nice effect there. One of the most useful things that I found for art journaling have been these little booklets that are filled with lots of different kinds of patterned paper. I've used these for all sorts of projects. There's a couple of other videos on my channel, my bullet journal videos. I've also used these papers to create DIY projects, where one time I built a book nook, and these were super useful for, covering the furniture and just finding nice little patterns. So for this girl's dress, I'm looking through these different patterns and trying to find something that would work with this Radiance themes, because the sun was so yellow and the background was so yellow. I really wanted to find a pattern that had shades of yellow in it. But of course, first I was testing out all different other ones to see like, oh, maybe this would look good or maybe that would look good. But in the end, I came across one pattern that was just right. It had these beautiful flowers in it. You'll see it, here it is. And I thought this was perfect. When I saw it, I was like, oh wow, okay, this just reminds me so much of Radiance and the sun, and sticking with this theme. As happens when you're creating, the hours just pass on by, and before I knew it, it was already sunset, but there was a beautiful, beautiful sky outside. I had to now turn on all of the lights and close the blinds because all of the natural light was done for the day. So, but I still wanted to create, and there was still quite a bit more to do on this art journal page. So I also found these sunflowers that I had painted a few years ago that I thought would fit really nicely on here. I cut them out of the painting that I had made, and I was trying to figure out how and where to put them. I also realized that my picture of this girl needed a few extra touches, so I did some outlining of her face, just different parts of her face and her body, just really making everything stand out a little bit more. And then one of the times I was really looking forward to is obviously creating the outfit or designing the outfit with these pattern papers. So I decided on making a kind of top with a loose skirt underneath. And yeah, just kind of sketched in using the lines as the guidance. And this is what the top looked like. I thought it was really cute, and I really liked this pattern paper. I think it worked really well. And then the skirt would go underneath like that. There was little bits of black paint that were marking on the side. So I took a Posca marker, black Posca marker, and just filled that in. That was from the torn paper when I originally took the first dress off her. I usually always like to have some space on my art journal pages for some writing, and this page was already quite full, but I found that I had just these two blocks and then some more pattern paper that was sort of matching the tones. These were like more brown tones, but I thought they fit in. So I glued everything else down, the other sunflowers, and then I could start working on doing some writing in the spaces. Thinking back to the John Lennon quote from the beginning of this video, where he said, "We shine on like the sun, the stars, and the moon." And because my art journal page had all of those aspects in it, I thought the words would be nice to write "shine, my dear." I created these writing part with some stamps that I have. I laid the letters out first, and then I could kind of see the spacing of it and how it would work and how it would fit. I used a Posca marker to make the ink on the back and then just stamp down the letter, and that worked quite well instead of using ink. Like normally I would use ink with these letters, but it did work with the Posca marker, and they've been a really, really great addition to the art journaling supplies. So I've enjoyed using those for a lot of different projects. And then I took some Tipp-Ex or whiteout, and I created the lines around the letters because I thought they needed like a little bit more oomph to them to kind of stand out a bit more on these pages. So I went to bed that night and woke up the next day. I really wanted to show you this art journal completed in the sunshine. We had all the natural light coming in the windows again, which is really beautiful and reflecting really nicely on the artwork and what it was all about shining and just being your true self and shining on, like John Lennon said. And yeah, so this is the art journal page complete. I really enjoyed reusing and repurposing those old artworks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.